Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Australia too. You were out here, what, about 12 months, 2 years ago?
Yes, that's right.
Was that Life of Brian time or something?
Life of Brian and, in a book that I wrote, that's right.
Oh, right, right. Now, Yellowbeard opened at the weekend to very good business all around the country, and just tell people about the idea of Yellowbeard. Yellowbeard is sort of a vaguely nasty...
Well, not vaguely, he's very nasty.
Very nasty.
Really, yes, the most unpleasant pirate ever, really. He would poke your eyes out as soon as look at you, really.
Yeah, just an all-round nasty one.
Yes, oh yes, no redeeming feature at all.
Where did the idea come from?
Actually, it was Keith Moon, an old drinking companion of mine, some years ago, about 6 years ago, suggested I wrote an adventure comedy. And looking at Keith, he reminded me in appearance of, in Treasure Island, Long John Silver, played by Robert Newton, right? Looked just like him. And also Keith rather behaved like a pirate. He did whatever he felt like doing on the spur of the moment and didn't give a damn about the consequences, which is very piratical in behaviour. So that gave me the idea of pirates, and that was the seed of it, really, and started to write it sometime later.
Did you have Keith Moon in mind for the part?
He would indeed have been in the movie, yes, either playing Yellowbeard himself or his arch rival, who in fact we named Moon after him.
Oh, really, in memory.
Yeah.
He must have been outrageous, was he? He threw grand pianos into swimming pools and all sorts of things.
That kind of thing, yes, even on a smaller scale. I once went to see him in his hotel in London. Actually, there was only one hotel which would accept him at the time. He was banned from most of the rest. He was staying there under the name of Mr. Rupert Wilde, which was kind of ominous anyway. And I used to drink gin at the time, large quantities of it. Stopped 5 years ago, had to. But there was no gin in Keith's penthouse apartment in this hotel. He was right up there on the top floor. And so he rang up room service and asked them if they could send up a bottle of gin. And 15 minutes later, they still hadn't. And so Keith rang them back and said that if the gin didn't arrive within the next 10 minutes, their television set would arrive on the pavement outside. 10 minutes later, still no gin had arrived, and Keith disappeared out of the window, which I thought was kind of odd. I thought he probably walked onto the balcony, but it was kind of 13, 14 floors high. A few minutes later, I looked out just to check, and there was no balcony. There was, in fact, a small ledge about 4 or 5 inches wide. There was no mess on the pavement underneath, checked that. So he obviously crawled along, somehow or other, managed to crawl along this balcony. There was no other sign of him. So I just sat down and waited, knowing Keith, expecting the unexpected, as it were. And a few minutes later, he came back into the room, through the window, with a bottle of gin in his hand. He'd burgled the next door penthouse. A good friend, a good friend.
What a worry. What age did he make, Grant? What age did he get to? 32?
34.
34, yeah. Packed a lot in there, though, didn't he?
Oh, he certainly did, yeah.
No, despite his absence and the fact that you've named someone in memory of him in the film, you've still got a wonderful collection of people. I mean, I just couldn't believe it. You've got everyone from the respectable to the absolute gore-blimey.
That's right, yes. We were very lucky. Really, when we were writing, Peter Cook and I, we bore certain characters in mind, because it helps when you're writing to have an idea of possibly, not who might play it, but just as a character. It helps you form that character. And most of them said yes, so we've got an embarrassment, really, of...
Just rattle through who you've got for people. You've got,
well,
apart from yourself...
Apart from myself, from Python, we have John Cleese appearing as Blind Pew. We have Eric Idle as well, and then there's a kind of... Mel Brooks set, really, as well, with Marty Feldman, Peter Boyle, Madeline Kahn, and Kenneth Mars. And then the Cheech and Chong set with Cheech and Chong. Which is
enough. So that's about the first time they've done a film, apart from their own strange ones.
Yes, it is. It's the first time they've had lines to learn as well.
Yeah, I can believe that.
They just make things up as they go along.
They wouldn't have a clue what they've made up, would they?
They found it an interesting process, I think.
Marty Feldman, I believe he's wonderful. And I walked in the other day when it was running, and I just saw a little bit of it, and there were Marty's 2 wonderful eyes bulging, and I thought, I've got to come back and see this. I mean, they seem as far apart as ever, and it was his last film.
Yes, sadly, his last film. I was very pleased that he agreed to appear in it. I mean, I've worked with Marty and known him for many years. He started off, in fact, in television in a little show called At Last, the 1948 show with John Cleese and myself many years ago. About 18 years ago, I think. And so I was very pleased that he agreed to come back, and actually jokingly at the beginning of filming said that John and myself started his career, it looked as though he might finish it, which is kind of
Yes.
Sad on reflection.
Yeah, I don't want to get maudlin about it, but he didn't die during the shoot. He died just straight afterwards. Didn't he?
That's right. Yeah. And he was on very good form, I'm glad to say, because he kind of sad the last couple of years before that, which is why I was very keen for him to be in it.
Yeah.
Suddenly everything looked great for him again.
Yeah.
Then that happened.
Just to briefly, I mean, it's such a crazy story from what I've seen of it that it'd be rather hard to encapsulate it, but
yes.
maybe you can, because you're the man who started it.
Well, I would hesitate to, nevertheless. Yes, Yellowbeard himself.
Just explain Yellowbeard.
Right. I believe you're going to show a clip in a moment.
With Madeline Kahn visiting you.
That's right, yes. He has spent 20 years in prison for refusing to divulge the whereabouts of his treasure, and despite 20 years of torture and unpleasantness, he still hasn't divulged the whereabouts, so the authorities hit on the idea of allowing him to escape and then following him. That's the basis of it. And in this little scene we're about to see Madeline Kahn, who is his, well, kind of half-wife, half-rapee, really. He's a very piratical person. And comes to visit him and has something to explain to him.
All right, so let's join them.
Do you remember just before you were arrested, we were having a cuddle?
I was raping you, if that's what you mean.
What? Sort of half cuddle, half rape.
Get on with it, woman.
Well, I haven't told you this before because I wanted him to be brought up like a gentleman and not a pirate.
Who are you talking about?
The fruit of your loins, sugar drawers.
I haven't got fruit in my loins. Lice, yes, and proud of them.
It means that we have spawned a son.
Done what?
You have just become the father of a 20-year-old bouncing boy called Dane.
Ah, a son. Takes after me, does he?
Well,
By the time I was 20, I'd killed 500 men.
well, he's not quite so extroverted as you. But he's,
A thief?
no.
A rapist?
No.
Oh, bloody hell, I give up. What is he then?
He's a gardener.
A gardener? A Yellowbeard gardening? I'll see about that when I'm out. What is it now?
Time's up, sir. So your son's a gardener, eh?
Oh, let's see it this weekend. That's great. Hear people roaring, laughing as you go past. What? Now you're also involved in the most recent, I won't say last, Monty Python film called The Meaning of Life.
Yes.
Yeah. Apparently that is outrageous even by Monty Python standards, or the Meaning of Life
disgusting.
standards.
Yes, yeah.
How disgusting.
Oh, revolting. Really is.
Really grubby.
Yes, people. We were considering giving out air sickness bags at screenings just in case. No, it is quite revolting.
Quite revolting.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
We had a problem with that, really. It started, I suppose, because John Cleese and I, who I suppose represent the more conservative side of the group of six of us, which is not particularly conservative, but we wrote a sketch quite early on in the genesis of this movie, which was a sex lecture, and a very overt lecture too, with a master explaining sex to the kids, to the boys at school, who were more interested in watching the cricket out of the window. And despite this very graphic description of sex and the sex act, in fact, demonstrated on the headmaster's wife. Having gone that far, we couldn't really tell the others, no, that, you know, can't do that.
No.
So the floodgates were open, really, and anything just went.
Everyone just tried to top your grubbiness.
That's right, yeah.
They got grubbier and grubbier. It's been quite successful, so a lot of people don't mind being offended by the sound of it.
No, it does offend, hopefully, everyone.
So you'd almost guarantee that, would you?
Yes, so that if you feel offended, at least they're being offended over there as well.
So no one in that theatre is feeling out of it. What's it like when you all get together? Is there much bitchiness, much rivalry? I mean, much topping?
Oh, of course, yes. But we try to pretend that there isn't.
No.
Actually, we get on quite well, really. We're a little committee of people, but there are occasional problems. I only remember one episode of near violence when a very, very heavy glass ashtray moved from the direction of Terry Jones towards the direction of John Cleese. But I think that just represented the political poles of the group.
Sure. There was a statement.
It was part of a discussion.
Yes. That's right. The object was incidental.
Yes, oh, quite. It didn't
Could
hit
have been
anyone
anything.
anyway.
No.
Made a mess of the table, but...
Does Graham Chapman get to wear a frock in this one or not?
No, unfortunately not. No.
You
no,
yellow beard all the way through, eh?
Yes, he rather a fierce and unpleasant character, which was a great change from playing Brian in Life of Brian, actually.
Yes.
Quite enjoyed that, being outrageous and biting people's throats out. Lovely.
You must feel a lot better.
Yeah, I do.
Well, Graham, good to see you again, and great success with the film. I know it opened very well at the weekend, and it's called Yellowbeard, and it is a ride.